Welcome, everybody. Happy to have you guys on. Today, we are going to be talking about the automation, the scheduler, as you might call it in Webgility Desktop. So, we'll go through the settings, best practices, how it works, all that good stuff. The good thing about this session is it's probably going to be pretty quick from a content perspective on our end. The scheduler is pretty straightforward. I mean, it has its nuance, it has a lot of different settings, but ultimately there are recommendations that we have, and then the rest of it is sort of up to your personal preference. So we'll have a lot more time today to answer questions or dive into anything that you guys wanted to talk about if you had additional stuff that you wanted to go over. So I will start off by just introducing myself if you haven't been to any of our webinars in the past. My name is John May. I am the video engagement manager here for Webgility. I am also the voice of our IVR if you call into our online support. And I do not customer webinars, but every Thursday I host we call it a weekly whiteboard session where I talk through questions for business owners and operators on scaling and using their data to make better decisions. So if you're not sick of seeing me yet, I do host those every single Thursday, and I'd love to see you there as well. But I'm also joined by Manish. If you want to introduce yourself, Manish. Oh, you're muted. I do that often.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, hi, this is Manish. Most of you might know me. I've been with Webgility for over 5 years, and I take care of the onboarding team. Uh, yeah, helping clients on their setup, making sure their automation is working smoothly. So yeah, that's what I do day in, day out.
Awesome. And I always like to say it, but I love that the implementation team is able to join me on these. I can definitely, talk my way through WebGility and teach people how to use it and answer questions and stuff. But I sort of have a level of disconnect from using WebGility on a day-to-day basis because I'm more on the marketing and exposure end. I don't spend a lot of time directly inside of Webgility. So it's good to work with people that, answer your questions, deal with implementation on a daily basis, and it helps make things a lot easier for you guys. So the agenda for today, again, pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about enabling the scheduler, how it works, sort of what it is, and then configuration, so the settings that make up the scheduler, what they all do, and then some best practices for how to make sure that you're getting the most out of it, avoiding any problems in the future, and setting yourself up for success, as it were. Couple housekeeping things before we dive in. You are free to ask any questions that you have in the chat or the Q&A box. If it doesn't pertain to directly what we're talking about in that moment, we might save it for when we take a breath or at the very end when there is that dedicated Q&A session. But we are happy to answer any questions that you have. If it's something that's directly related to your WebGility subscription, it is a little harder for us to answer those questions because we don't have the context that we need to dive in directly to your situation. So worst case scenario, we'll get with our team internally, have them reach out, schedule a call, and then we can fix that problem for you in a one-to-one environment there. But again, questions are super welcome. Even if they're not questions, if you have comments that you want to make, suggestions that you want to make, advice that you want to give to other sellers or customers, that is also why these sessions exist. We want to create an environment where you guys can collaborate with each other and sort of build each other up because we have this community of sellers and people that are all looking to grow. So it makes sense that you guys might have advice that you want to give each other or, words of wisdom that you might want to share. So feel free to sound off in the comments or not. If you just want to listen to our voices, that is totally fine as well. So to dive in, what is the scheduler? I will kind of go on a little explanation for what the scheduler is, and then Manish, if you want to talk specifically about how enabling it works. The scheduler is, to put it simply for Webgility Desktop, sort of an additional program that runs alongside Webgility that automates the processes that you would normally do manually. So when we're talking about processing orders, posting fees or expenses, refunds, all that good stuff. Normally, you would go into Webgility, you would hit post order to QuickBooks or post refund to QuickBooks, and then it would post it for you. Same thing with settlement reports or payout reports if you're on Shopify. The scheduler or the automation tool in Webgility when you pull it up and you configure it and have it running, it will, on the timer that you basically set it for, will do those things for you. So you can sort of set whatever you want up, whether it be just orders, or you want to do orders and refunds, or orders, refunds, and expenses. You can set the time frame that you want it to post on, and if you do want it to post automatically for you. Um, so yeah, how does one go about enabling it inside of WebGility, Manish? You're muted again.
I'll have to share my screen on that side. We have to let me do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. A live demo makes it a lot easier to contextualize here.
Okay.
Oh, I have to stop my share, don't I? There we go.
Yeah. Just make it now. Let me know if it's visible.
It is.
Okay, so when you launch your Webgility software version, when you log in on the top right corner, you got this clock. It's for scheduler options and controls. So you need to initially hit the clock on the top right corner. The clock doesn't clock is not there actually to start the automation, but clock is there to get you more control about automation. It was grayed out earlier, now it's orange. That means all the way to the bottom where you see other apps running in the background of your computer, you would end up seeing small w here as well. So because automation, the scheduler runs in the background of your computer as a service, like the way your antivirus running in the computer to protect your computer, similar way automation runs in the background. So once you have the clock uh, clicked on, uh, let me go back to the bottom right corner again. Now you see small w here. That's where you see all the controls. So small w, you can right click on it. That's where you have all the controls. Start the automation. If it's running, you can stop the automation as well. Stop will be highlighted at that time. You also have exit the automation if you want to operate WebGLD software only through manual way. Then you can exit the automation as well. If you and if you have to define what automation should do, all those controls are available under the settings here. So you hit settings, and that's the window you see right now pops up. So again, once you have small w at the bottom right corner, it is not mandatory that you log into WebGLity software every day. Once you got the w at the bottom, you have the rules defined. You start the automation, it keeps working in the background as long as you have the system on. If you shut the computer down while it was running, whenever you turn the computer back on, it will start working again for the task we have assigned so far. So that's about quick navigation, how you launch the automation, how you can start the automation, and how you can quickly go to the settings to offer the automation.
Perfect,
Uh,
perfect.
yeah,
Yeah, and just to kind of for those of you who might be more tech inclined or might want to know why it's sort of like a separate program, the Webgility desktop software works within an SQL database because it needs to connect directly to your company file for QuickBooks. There's a lot of intermingling going on there. So where I don't know if any of you have used our Webgility Online software, the cloud-based version that works with QuickBooks Online. The scheduler or the automation tool within Webgility Online is cloud-based as well. So there's a lot of similarities between the way that our Webgility Online and its scheduler work, and then the way that our Webgility Desktop and its scheduler work.
yeah,
But yeah, so just make sure that if you want automation to be running, to always check that system tray at the bottom right and make sure that it's set on start, or if you don't want it to be running, it's set on stop. We do have some additional advice or best practices related to when you want it started, when you want it stopped, when you don't want it to be running at all, that we'll get to at the very end of the best practices.
yeah. And next point is what kind of task automation should do. I mean, what it's going to sync and how often it's going to sync. What's the frequency for it to work? So that's something you define on the setting. Once you go to the bottom right corner, when you right click on small w, if you hit setting, then you have this page popping up the way you see right now. On the left side, you can see all the sales channels connected to your store. Like for example, if I go to this Shopify that is integrated to my test WebGility account, here I would tell you about the three major features that you might want automation to work for. First one is you're syncing your sales. So when you have your sales on sale channels, you want that to be synced to QuickBook automatically. You want to have two checkbox enable, get new order on the top, and you can set frequency as well. Whatever frequencies work best for you as per your workflow. You can set that time frame, for example, 5 minutes. So it's going to look for the sales coming in on the store. As long as sales is found, it will be caught by Webgility. It's going to download that and post order to QuickBook. That's next checkbox that's must to be enabled. That will ensure that order found on your sale channel will be synced to your accounting system as well. Now, how it should go to accounting system, that depends on your WebGility configuration setting, whether you want that to be synced as a sales receipt, sales order, invoices. You can configure that in the detailed settings of WebGility. But yeah, once that is done, now here we can define when you want order to go to QuickBook. Like if you have any condition, order must be paid before it goes to QuickBook, or you want also order to be shipped before it goes to QuickBook, you can apply that condition. And you can enable the option post refund as well. So yeah, this is all you need to make sure your orders get synced to your accounting system through automation. And frequencies are also set on this way. That's the first thing, auto sync into QuickBook. The second feature you might be looking for, if you have the Shopify or Amazon, you might know that Webability offers a complete reconciliation feature as well, syncing your Shopify payouts or Shopify Amazon settlement report to reconcile those data into QuickBooks. So to automate this process, you can again hit download and posting both. Download payout, you can set a frequency here every 6 hours, and then posting. Downloading is simply like finding that on Shopify and bringing that into Webability app. And then to move that to QuickBooks, we have post payout reports to QuickBooks. You can also define date range, from what date range you should look for the payout, any specific date range you want. Shopify allows you to download data as long as last 90 days. You can set a date range here for payout as well. And any time frame that works best for you for payout. Payout is not something that is available that often. Maybe it's once in a day or once in 2 or 3 days situation. So yeah, as long as it's found, it will sync that to QuickBook as well. So first thing we talked about is sales syncing to QuickBook. Second one, your Shopify or Amazon payout to QuickBook to automate that whole process. And then third one, inventory sync. If you want to make sure your sales channel catalog quality should be up to date based on what's in QuickBook. If QuickBook is your master catalog for inventory, or vice versa. I mean, if you have up to date inventory on store and you want that count to be updated in QuickBooks. So to make sure your inventories are up to date between QuickBook and Shopify, you want to have the same product enabled at the very bottom that I'm highlighting. And you can set what you want to sync. I mean, you want to sync quantity, price, or cost, all of them, or is any specific one. And you really need to define the direction from where we need to sync. If QuickBook is your master catalog and you want sale channel quantity to be up to date, then make sure you have QuickBook selected. That's going to make sure QuickBook is considered as a master catalog to pull the quantity from. And you can set a time frame here as well. For example, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, again, whatever works best for you. And then it'll start working. You can save this configuration for these three major features so that they work flawlessly. Once you save it, once you hit start automation, it's going to keep working in the background and look for the data and sync it to QuickBooks. Yeah.
Yeah, well said. I think that encompasses all of the like different types of data that gets posted and pulled from the scheduler. A
Yeah.
couple things, and I know we wanted to save best practices for the end, but I think it maybe flows to talk about it here as well in some cases. So,
Yeah.
obviously, you see next to every one of these options a time frame or an interval, I guess, as you might call it, for completing that action, right? So you're getting new
Yeah.
orders. Right here, it says every 5 minutes. You're downloading the payout report every 6 hours, posting orders every 5 minutes. So when it comes to picking an interval, I would generally say a good piece of advice is to not start at the shortest amount possible. For some catalogs, it might not be feasible to use the shortest interval possible. So a good way of explaining this that I've personally dealt with is when I was in implementation, we had a customer that had 25,000 SKUs. They worked in retail, a lot of different variants on, the clothing that they sold. And if they were to turn on the scheduler and say, hey, I want to run this every 5 minutes, their computer that they haven't updated since 2005, they're still running Windows XP, would not be able to get through all of that information before it started that same process again. So, what ends up
Yeah.
happening, depending on how old your computer is, how fast your internet is, all these variables, because it is working off of, again, your computer, it's not cloud based where we're working off like an Amazon server or something like that. It relies on how fast your computer can handle those processes. So generally, when we're going through implementation, and Manish, you can maybe speak to this a little bit more directly lately, but we recommend starting at a higher interval, like every couple hours, just to make sure that the information is being passed completely. And making sure that it is completing those actions. And then from there, you can take it shorter and shorter until you find the time that's right for you. We'd all love a reality where sync is as real time as possible, but unfortunately, when we're all using computers that might not be cutting edge, like government quality in terms of like how fast things go, you generally have to make some compromises to make sure that it's getting through all that information before it tries to again complete the same action. So, best word of
Yeah,
advice: start with a little higher and then work your way down.
yeah, it really depends on your system configuration preferences and your workflow requirement, how soon you need your online sales orders in your accounting system.
Yeah, definitely. So when you're if you're confused on this, if you get to this point and you're like, I really don't know what interval to select, I'm worried. Don't worry. Definitely just speak to our team and we can talk through what your workflow is, like Manish just mentioned,
All right.
how much your computer can handle, how much your network can handle, and then go from there. Generally, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Unless you're like a crazy enterprise level accounting workflow, you probably don't need real time. I know again, real time would be amazing, but having it update every couple hours is usually sufficient to make sure that you're able to reconcile correctly at the end of the day, end of the week, whenever you do it.
Yeah,
So,
and so
oh, go ahead.
yeah, so we talked about three main features so far: syncing your sales and refunds, syncing your payouts and reports to QuickBooks. Third one is syncing your quantity and price. I'm going to talk about some other features as well that you might need from automation to work on, apart from these three what I mentioned. So let's talk about the first one, order updates. Let's say you have your sales synced to QuickBooks already, and then thereafter on your sales channel, if you make any changes, maybe you add order notes. You're adding tracking ID on the order, or maybe if it's a different kind of business, B2B, you're adding payment details on Shopify later on after it's already in QuickBook. So we have an option here called order update sync. So right under the get new order, if you hit the arrow pointing down, the one I'm highlighting, you have this auto update order. It's grayed out because the backend setting is disabled. We can configure the setting, what kind of update we need to track. We can configure that in the Webgility app, and then we can enable this one. So once this is enabled, any changes found on your Shopify's order that can be pushed into QuickBook as well to that order posted already. So yeah, it could be very handy if you really need to have those orders details pushed to QuickBook on the same order. That's the first one I wanted to talk about. Second feature automation has is let's say you have a sale in QuickBook already and you do shipments from QuickBooks. So once you got your sale in QuickBook, you process shipment through QuickBook using your shipping provider like FedEx and Asia, and you have the tracking details in QuickBook in that order. Now you need that to push it to your Shopify sales channel so that Shopify order status can also be changed from paid to shipped, and you want Shopify to push the tracking ID back to your buyer, customer, so that they know about it. So we have an option called tracking ID download and post to store. That's this to retrieve tracking ID. And this is going to make sure that if, let's say, you have 50 orders posted to QuickBook, and out of those 50 orders, it's going to track those 50 orders. If you update tracking ID in any of those orders, it's going to pull the tracking ID from those orders. And then with this checkbox, post updates to sale channel, is going to push it to store as well. So two-step process, whatever the orders posted to QuickBook, track the tracking ID, locate it, bring into Webgility, and then second step, post it to your sales channel as well. As soon as the tracking ID goes to your sales channel, order status on Shopify will be updated to shipped or closed, whatever you prefer. You can define that easily. And Webability will also trigger Shopify to send an email to your customer along with that tracking ID. So you don't have to do that manually. It saves you a lot of time if your shipping flow is in your QuickBooks. So that's where it could be handy. Uh, there could be one more feature I want to talk about here. Uh, Third unique feature that we have in Webability is create missing products from store to QuickBooks, the one at the very bottom, the last one. Let's say your team has new products added, new arrivals, and new items on your Shopify, and it's not yet created in QuickBooks. There's no entry in QuickBooks for that item, so it's only on Shopify. So whenever you have new items added on Shopify or online any online sales channel that you're using, Webbility can automatically create that item in your QuickBook. You can define settings in the backend whether it should be created as an inventory, non-inventory, or a service item as per your need. And yeah, it will work automatically. So you can set a time frame, for example, half an hour. So every half an hour is going to check your Shopify catalog. If any new feature is found on the Shopify, if any new item is found on the Shopify, it's going to have that entry in QuickBook as well. Yeah. So these are the three additional items I wanted to talk about, which are very unique, very useful on your daily e-commerce activity and operation.
Yeah, and just to expand on that last point a little bit, just because it might not be clear exactly how those missing products get created. When an order comes through, generally the way that WebGility will know to adjust inventory and attribute the cost or price of that order to go to QuickBooks, we look for the SKU of that item. So if we look at your product identifier, if we look at the order and say, hey, where's the SKU for, whatever shoes you're selling in this order, we don't find that in QuickBooks, that's where it's creating the missing item. So if we go to post the order and we don't find that item based on the SKU or whichever product identifier you've set up in the settings, that's when it will create that item based on it being missing. So just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that was clear. And then just to kind of, again, just flow the best practices into what we're kind of talking about in the moment. When we're talking about settings, the sort of the biggest, I guess, piece of advice that we give people when it comes to setting up the scheduler is that you want to make sure that all of your settings, your workflow, and the data is pulling and posting correctly into QuickBooks before you turn automation on. So it's generally the last step of implementation or the last step of getting people onboarded for a good reason, right? Before you turn on, the tap, you want to make sure that the water doesn't have any leaks down the pipes, right? So when it comes to setting up your posting and your downloading settings, make sure that you're happy with how that workflow looks, with how the transactional posting is working, how your sales receipts look, all the information that's on them, how you pull
Yeah.
refunds, all the expenses that you pull in, whatever it is, you want to make sure that it's complete and that you're happy with how it looks when you post it manually. And when I say post it manually, when you go to click post to QuickBooks inside of WebGility, once you're happy with how that looks, that's when we recommend turning automation on. Uh, Again,
Yeah.
for good reason, because you don't want to turn something on, have it do it automatically every 15 minutes, and then you've sort of created a mess that you have to undo. It is still undoable, but it's a lot easy to fix when you're talking about one or two transactions than it is for, 100 transactions or something like that when it's done manually.
Yeah. And yeah, as long as best practices are concerned, you also want to make sure that you keep an eye on the automated email that you receive on your email through automation. Automation send you an email to your primary user ID. It usually lets you know about how many sales seen so far throughout the day, and if there's any error, it lets you know how many sales were rejected by QuickBook. You might come across errors randomly, or not always, but rarely. Maybe there's a sale for a product which is not existing in QuickBook, or there is something new in your sale. Maybe you've sold out the first gift card uh, that QuickBook was not prepared for, or you have store credit in your sale that you never thought about. So if any such detail coming in from your sale and QuickBook is not prepared, QuickBook will reject the entry, and in WebGility, those orders goes to under the error category. So automation sends you an email next day telling you about what's rejected so far, and if you find something as an error on those automated notification email, then get back to WebGility, find out, and you can sort it out.
Yeah, perfect. And we do have a question from Amanda in the chat. Can we automate the reverse? And she's speaking about the creating missing products. New items are created in QuickBooks that we need to the download to sync with. Typically, we do this by manually updating the catalog. Manish, if you want to answer that one.
That's right. And several reasons why we don't automate this QuickBook item transfer to store, because QuickBook has a lot of items. It also has your sales tax items you don't sell on Shopify. You have your discounts, non-inventories, or coupon codes in QuickBooks, or maybe another service items like for coupon discount, normal discounts, gift cards, or some amount management. So QuickBook is really a master catalog. I usually see thousands of items in QuickBook that you don't wanna see on Shopify or in store sales channel. So that's why in Webgility you have an option in your product catalog. You can refresh it and manually pick which item you wanna push to store. But vice versa is must. I mean, if any item you have on Shopify because you're selling it, then it has to be in QuickBook to be able to manage its financial records. So yeah, that's why we have this.
Yeah, and
Uh,
there are, just to kind of add on to that, there are integrations that primarily do listing from QuickBooks into your store. So if that's like a big part of your workflow that would save you a lot of time, there's free connectors that allow you to take inventory or listings from QuickBooks and automatically upload them into Shopify. You'll still need to do some
yeah,
manual work like listing photos and like updating things here and there, but that might make it a little faster for you. So yeah, as of right now, we only take the technically not a listing. We take the product from Shopify or whatever store and upload it to QuickBooks because we have the basic information that needs to be uploaded into QuickBooks.
yeah.
Second question from Mark. An order has been downloaded to QuickBooks as a sales order. Days later, the order is shipped from Shopify. Can order updates communicate to QuickBooks that an order was shipped from Shopify, then trigger QuickBooks to move that sales order to an invoice and apply a payment in QuickBooks?
Yeah, I can do this. So the update feature that I just talked about on the top of scheduler auto update order. So once we find updates on Shopify, this update feature update the order in the same format. If it was sales order, Webgility will again push the new update in the same format, order sales order format. It will not convert sale order into invoices. So yeah, converting sales order into invoices is really kind of, as of now, manual process, or this could be customizable thing just for additional features.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I
as of
mean for
now,
this specific workflow, it sounds like it might work to just not post it to QuickBooks until the order gets shipped, possibly, if that makes it easier. Um, because you're still managing the order through Shopify until it gets shipped, and then we can just post it as an invoice once it's shipped from Shopify using the status that you want to use from Shopify. So there are some customizations or settings that you can apply to Webgility that makes it so we don't download that order until it hits the certain status. So in this case, it would be once the order shipped from Shopify, then we download the order and then post it, and you can configure it to post as based on whatever custom status you want. Configure it to post as an invoice.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, if you want to explore, those custom options, ways that you can get that done, make sure that it fits with your workflow. Just reach out to our team, and we can find a solution that works specifically for you. I know Manish just mentioned customization. Something that we
right.
do open things up to for customers is when we have these like sort of niche, not necessarily one-off, but sort of corner case workflows that aren't necessarily built into the product. You can essentially just pay us for the development time to make sure that that's added to the product, and we can add it to the product for you and add it as an update. So, if that's
Right.
something that you're willing to explore, if it's something that's like critical to your workflow, and you're willing to again pay for the development time for it, we can definitely explore that option as well. Next question. We've got a lot of questions. I'm happy to see that. Can you upload sales if the inventory is negative? Absolutely. So the one thing that you want to be aware of here is if the inventory is negative, you might just want to not track inventory for that product. But we can upload sales if the inventory is negative. I think there's a setting specifically for allowing that, right, Manish?
Yeah, so there are two situations I would talk about one by one. One is if you have a negative count in QuickBook, whether you want allow sale even to be received on website or not. So if it's a negative count in QuickBook and if you sync quality to your sale channel, we have option. We just up, it goes as a zero on Shopify or your sale channel from QuickBooks. So it's not even available for a sale. But if you have your sale channel defined, you receive the sale even if the count is negative already. That's something you define on the sale channel. But if you still get the sale, if and if sale already happened, like it's a back order, you're getting sale even if the count is not available because you're confident you can get that fulfilled, maybe through your vendor, another vendor, or some sort of the way you have. So if you got the sale already, then yes, you want that sale to go to QuickBooks. So in Webgility, yeah, you have an option if you it by default sync that order to QuickBook for you. It adjusts the count to negative in QuickBook further. If it was -5 and you have two sold out already, you will have -7 in QuickBook once the order goes to QuickBook. But if you don't want that sale to go to QuickBook, then Webgility we have an option. Don't push the sale if item count is not available. So it's really up to you, or you can configure your sale channel whether you want to receive the sale if the count goes to negative or not. Yeah,
Yeah, perfectly said. And then your second question, can you tag sales that need to be adjusted if you don't want them to push across? Absolutely. There's a couple of different ways that you could sort of do what you're talking about. You can ignore orders that come in. So if you see an order gets pulled into Webgility and you need to adjust it either in the store or make sure that things are adjusted properly before you post it to QuickBooks, you can ignore it directly within Webgility. Under the orders section, you have the ability to set orders to ignore. Or alternatively, before they even get pulled into Webgility inside of Shopify, you can set it as a custom order status or something like that. Make the adjustments before it gets downloaded. If you make the adjustments after it gets downloaded, as Manish said, we can set up order updates so that we'll download whatever has been adjusted before posting it to QuickBooks. So,
yeah. Again, ideal situation is you don't want a sale to be received if the count is not available, so your sale channel to be configured. But if you, as I mentioned, if you're confident you can fulfill those orders, then you can allow sale channel to receive sale even if it's negative count, and then you want that to go to QuickBook then if it is already happening.
yeah, and if it's an adjustment that doesn't involve inventory, if it's like an additional product that needs to get added or a pricing adjustment, you can make those adjustments directly in Shopify, and then we'll get the update. Otherwise, like I said, if it's something that's already been pulled into WebGility, and you don't want it to be pushed because of automation, you can just set that order to ignore, um, so that it doesn't get pulled in until you're ready to download the update and post it. But
Yeah.
that order updates feature, I think, would solve most of the problems that you would be having if you're needing to make adjustments before it gets posted. We can always post the adjustments and make sure the things get adjusted on your timeline or however you have the scheduler set up.
Yeah, and
Um,
regarding tagging on your sales channel, there are so many different statuses you can assign on
yeah,
your sales channel, and even in Webbuilder you can define whether you want order to be downloaded for with that status or not. So it will work. You can have it blocked, not to post to QuickBook, or if you want, you can remove the block. It will work.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, a couple different ways you could do it. You can use order statuses in Shopify. That's probably the easiest
Yeah.
way to do it. And then, yeah, like Manish just mentioned, there's some like ignoring the order or setting order statuses specifically in Webgility.
Yes.
Um, Next question from Jack. Are you able to sync quantities of specific products to show live inventory, or is Webgility only able to sync quantities of all products from QuickBooks to Shopify? That is a great question. We do actually have, and I don't know if you wanted to show this feature, Manish, but we do have the ability to set like pricing rules and inventory rules under the product
Yeah.
section. This is a really powerful tool if you're worried about overselling, or if you want to always show a specific quantity available in whichever sales channel you're working in Webgility. But you can essentially set it up so that you only show certain quantities of certain items, or that you don't show any quantity at all, or don't sync quantity at all as well. So if you're looking to kind of turn off syncing for certain products, you can do that. And then if you're looking to set specific levels for certain products, you can do that as well. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
explain a little bit
So,
more, Manish.
yeah, quickly, three level of rules you can define. In QuickBook, you have two kind of quantity, available or on hand. So first, you can define whether you want to pull available quantity or on hand quantity. Second is how much you want to pull from QuickBooks. So, for example, if you have, let's say, 100% of QuickBook is usually default setting. If you got 100 in QuickBook, 100 goes to store. But if you want to put a rule that maybe just push 80% of what you have in QuickBook. So you can define that kind of rule as well. If you have 100 in QuickBook, it's going to update 80 on store. You can also define the rule two less or two more if you need, so that you always have some count available in your QuickBook to be able to, you know, fulfill some orders maybe you receive outside your sales channel. Like so, like I just applied the rule two less than what you have in QuickBooks. So if you got eight in QuickBook, it's going to update six on store. So yeah, this kind of features are available as well in Webgility software. If needed, you can define that rule. The second level of rule I'm talking about is about again controlling inventory based on the percentage, more or less equal to. You can define that rule accordingly, and it gets applied to all the product. Now, if you want to define this rule only to specific products, then you can do that. You can go to item settings, and any item that you have in QuickBook gonna pop up here. So let's say I want to apply 50% rule only for one of the item. I want to say I only want to update 50% count of what we have in QuickBooks. So I can apply this rule 50%. And yeah, it's gonna work accordingly. If we have seven in QuickBook, it's gonna round off the 50% and then update on store side. Or again, if you are cautious about just two or three less, then you can just mention that yeah, two less than what you have in QuickBook. So yeah, it will work perfectly. You can save this. Once you have it saved, automation will follow that rule automatically. It will do the calculation accordingly and then sync the inventory on store.
Perfect. And I think a second portion of the question was, making sure that you don't have to sync every single product. In the product module, you're able to ignore products that you don't want to be synced from inventory, correct?
Yes. So I'm under the QuickBook now. Here, yeah, just a moment to reload. So any item you don't want to sync quantity for, you can check the box for those item and just hit ignore at the bottom.
Perfect.
So yeah, if you
Pretty
mark them as
easy.
ignore, it would not sync the quantity for those items.
Yeah. So if in your scenario, Jack, if you have specific products that you don't want to sync quantity for because maybe they're always on hand or maybe you update them manually for some other reason, you can ignore them here, and then everything else will be synced based on those rules that Manish just showed under the product automation feature.
Yeah.
And then if you don't use those like rules that we talked about, it'll just sync whatever's in set as your master. So if you have QuickBooks set as the master, it'll sync from QuickBooks to Shopify using whatever is in
Yeah,
Shopify, or if it's the
one more
vice
quick
versa.
update is it doesn't sync everything from QuickBooks to store. I mean, look at only those items which exist on your store and in QuickBook, which are common items. Maybe you have 5,000 items in QuickBook, but you have only 2,000 items on your sales channel. So those sales 2,000 items, if they are mapped or matching with the correct items, relevant item in QuickBooks, syncing gonna happen only for those 2,000 items because it won't be able to do this for remaining 3,000 items because we don't even find those remaining 3,000 items on Shopify. So yeah, all those common items which are available already on sale channel in QuickBook and matching, sync works only for that, whether it's for inventory, sales syncing, or even their order payment syncing. So yeah, matching of the product is very important, and only matching products are the one which get synced.
Yep. Yeah, kind of like what I mentioned before. We use the SKU generally is the easiest way to tell that a product exists on both sides. So if we don't see the SKU that's in your Shopify, if we don't see that in QuickBooks, we don't know that that product exists. So that's where that
Right.
comes from. Cool. Did you have anything else that you wanted to show, or I can just jump into the last couple best practices before we wrap up?
Yeah, you can take over. I'll stop the screen share. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, no worries. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. All right. So I know I've already talked about a couple of these, so We'll just run through them really quickly. Ensure complete mapping and settings and test with a few orders before enabling full automation. That's what I mentioned before. You want to make sure that you're happy with how your products are matching, mapping, how, if you have taxes pulling in, expenses, discounts, coupons, stuff like that. You want to make sure that you're happy with how all of that works. Because if it does get pulled in automatically, you don't want to have to go and fix things on, a bunch of orders that got pulled in uh, through the automation. Make sure, and this is one that if you're running WebGility and QuickBooks on a remote server, something like a hosted environment, you want to run on the main server on your, and maybe even not for a hosted environment, but in like a workstation. So if you have multiple computers in the business in the workplace, you want to make sure it's running on the main system, and you want to have QuickBooks open. QuickBooks needs to be open because we have to run permissions checks and communicate directly with your QuickBooks company file to do the data transfers whenever we post orders and pull information. Um, and you want to regularly monitor your scheduler email notifications for those errors. I know many said that they can happen. Generally, they'll happen rarely, but it's always good to catch those before they become a problem. So most people would love to have this just be a set it and forget it, never look at it, never think about it thing, but is always good to do a little bit of maintenance here and there. Just check, make sure everything's working properly, fix any errors or issues that do pop up when they do pop up. Um, don't do anything manually while the automation is running. That's how you'll get duplicate posts, things that
Right.
copy either once, twice, three times. If you're running automation, don't do anything manually. If you do need to do anything manually, if you need to make manual adjustments or post something manually, turn off the automation first. So go into that system tray at the bottom right hand of the screen, right click the Webgility scheduler, the Unify scheduler icon, and then hit stop on it or exit out of it completely if you want to be 100% sure. But that'll turn it off. That'll make sure that the automation is not running so that you can do things manually and things don't get duplicated. This one is true for not even just the automation, but make sure your internet's stable and that your Webgility app is updated if you're looking for the best performance. Some users might be using an old, we'll call it outdated version of Webgility Desktop, and it works perfectly fine for them, and you are perfectly fine to use that. But if you want to take advantage of new features and any bug fixes or anything that we've updated in the Webgility app, make sure that you're on the latest version. Anytime that we run into issues, like if we're using an old version and you run into an issue, that's going to be the first thing that we do is recommend updating to the newest version because that's generally where we do those fixes. And then there is a help article that I will share in the follow-up email to make sure that you guys have everything that you need when it comes to making sure that you're using the scheduler correctly. Kimberly says, "Hi, John and Manish. Could we please get a copy of the recorded webinar?" Absolutely. I'm glad you asked. So
Yes.
generally, it's kind of up to Zoom on how long it takes the webinar to process. I try to get them out same day. Sometimes it even takes more than a day. But yes, the recorded webinar will be sent out through email. I'll also include that help article that is listed here as well. And then it'll also have a link to, I know I mentioned earlier, every Thursday, so tomorrow, I do a whiteboard session, 30 minutes, just about as long as these, where we talk through e-commerce, accounting, data, like financial decisions, stuff like that. I call it the Know Before You Grow series. I feel like that's pretty catchy. But I'll include the link to register for those as well because we'd love to have you guys on those. It is not just for people that don't use WebGility. We'd love to have people that use WebGility on there as well because it is sort of beyond WebGility. Something that we've been trying to do lately is talk about this idea that we want to go beyond sync. So we don't want you to just turn on sync and have everything, processed automatically for you. We want you to take it a step further and say, why am I using this sync tool? Why am I, pushing all this information into QuickBooks? I should be using that data, all that financial fidelity, as I like to call it, to make better decisions for my business, right? So, taking it a level up. But appreciate you guys being on here. Does anybody have any additional questions? This is generally where we would do the dedicated Q&A session. I know you guys have been asking questions as we go along, but if you have any additional,
Yeah.
this is where we're here to answer them. Take a second to take a sip of water here. Is there a way to set a time with the scheduler instead of an interval? No, but you could so there's no definite way to say like at 12 p.m. every day run this, but you can turn the scheduler on at 12 p.m. with a 12-hour interval and it will run every 12 hours. So that
Yep.
is sort of a pseudo way that you could do that. Obviously not super perfect or maybe the built-in option that you're looking for, but that is sort of the way that I would suggest doing it if you need to. Yeah, trying to run it at midnight. What app would you recommend for writing purchase orders? So we do have the purchase order feature within Webgility. I don't know if you're looking for something with more customizability, but you can have purchase orders generated through Webgility, and it should have everything you need. Manish, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a sale on your sales channel already, and for that sale based on the order detail, you want POs to be added in QuickBook at the same time as sale to be added, then it's possible through Webgility app.
What about
Yep.
receiving them? Oh, okay. Yeah, do you have any suggestions, Manish?
Yeah, I mean, this is something you do in QuickBook directly. I mean, when you have to purchase orders from, if you have to purchase products from the vendors, you manage your POs in QuickBooks directly so that you can enter your bills and also receive the item in accounting system directly. So, yeah, I mean, if you're creating it on your store, I would recommend do it in your QuickBook directly. Okay.
I can
Uh,
I can look into some
yeah,
options for you for like managing and receiving
right.
purchase orders in QuickBooks because yeah, I've heard that as well that like they can get created automatically through WebGility, which makes it a little easier on the end from you're getting them from your Shopify or whatever. But when it comes to getting them from other businesses and managing them in an efficient way, there's a lot to be desired. So yeah, I'll look at some solutions and I can send them directly to you, Sarina.
Sure.
Perfect. Let me make sure I have your name written down. Awesome. Um, cool. I think that answers all the questions. Again, we do these every couple weeks. The way that we generally format these is like today we're doing a Webgility Desktop focus webinar where we're talking about automation. A month ago when we hosted our last one, it was the QuickBooks Online's or Webgility Online sort of equivalent of this conversation. So next week, again, to compensate, we're doing another session. This one will be for Webgility Online, but again, you are more than welcome to attend if you are a Webgility Desktop customer. Just know that when we're talking about certain settings, how things work inside of Webgility, it'll be from the context of Webgility Online, not the desktop version. But if you have questions, more general stuff that you want to sort of find out, you are more than happy or more than welcome to ask them there. But yeah, so I'll send the email out with the recording for this. If you guys have any questions, reach out to our team directly. You can reach us through chat directly on webgility.com or portal.webgility.com if you're logged into your portal. And we are always happy to schedule a call with you and make sure that you have everything you need from us. So appreciate you guys joining today. Manish, I'm always happy to have you on these. And I look forward
Thank
to
you.
seeing you guys on the next one.